everyone. Welcome to Listen Up. I'm Al Neely, and today we have Merle Travis Rutledge Jr. Merle is he was running for the governor of Virginia. Was this recent time that you were running? Was this the second?
This is the second run.
Okay,
yes.
The second run. Okay, I know everything I was seeing was from back during the pandemic up through now. But anyway, Merle is an NSU graduate. Behold the green and the gold.
Yeah.
My alma mater. Okay, Norfolk State. So, Merle, you were a political science major, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your motivation for running for governor. What was the reason? We're just going to talk, okay?
All right.
I was telling you before, everything that I've seen is that you were campaigning. So a lot of it was, you get in that mindset about campaigning. But what I want to do is I just want to talk to you about you, your thoughts, and what was going on, so we can get an idea who Merle Rutledge is. So what was your motivation for running for governor?
My motivation was seeing past governors that had the opportunity for change and decided not to do anything with it because they was too busy being political compared to speaking for the ordinary Virginian or American. When people run for office, I used to have the expectation that they fell in love with money more than they did people. And now my expectation is correct when it comes down to them. And now they need to see somebody who's going to be in love with people over money. That was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
Gotcha.
So
I understand. I feel the same way about people too. So let's talk a little bit about your time at Norfolk State. You let's kind of bring everybody forward with things. You were there and you founded the Phi Delta Psi fraternity. That chapter, of course, I'm sorry, it's starting to kick up again. Of course, that fraternity has been around for a while.
yeah.
But there was not really a chapter in Norfolk State. So how did you help get started with that?
Well, there were some brothers that came up from New York, and I've never been that go along to get along type of person.
Right.
And when they talked to me, it related to me so much about what you put into the lives of others come back into your own.
Right.
And for me, I always work with the youth, and I always have been working with students. So I wanted to be the example of that motto. So that motto really took over and made me want to take it to another level.
Gotcha. I see. You've worked with Delegate Kenneth Alexander. Well, he's the mayor now, but he was a delegate, and you helped introduce some legislation.
Yes, criminal justice reform.
Okay.
At a time frame where crime was spiking, it was a lot of ideas that he felt that Virginia could benefit from, especially for the youth, especially dealing with the uptick in crime as far as murders and, of course, just crime in general, making sure the youth had other alternatives other than just feeling like the streets was the only thing that they can do.
Right.
If I could make it to Norfolk State University just like any other youth, sometimes people just need to know that the door is open.
Okay. So tell us about your background, where you came from.
I came from actually Irvington, New Jersey. I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm originally from this area. I guess that's why it took hold of me. You sometimes don't forget where you're born, even as you're...
I see. So obviously, if anybody follows you or Facebook, IG, or anything else, or if they see any of your, excuse me, your social media, they know that you are a Republican,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So I thought it was interesting when you were talking about running with helping Delegate Kenneth Alexander, because he is a Democrat. So you have no issues working across party lines and things like that?
Absolutely not. I love working with people that's trying to get something done and accomplished.
Right.
I don't think I could work with people that's screaming at each other or having cat fights. So when it came down to killing Alexander, I didn't care who introduced legislation as long as they was about committing to action and not just about all talk.
Right. So what y'all focused on primarily was it programs for youth?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It was more so to scare troubled kids back to becoming straight and on the narrow.
How effective was it?
The legislation never even made it through because the Senate or whatever killed the bill after it was introduced.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I'm like, if you have an alternative answer, then come with it. But you don't. It just says basically people are playing politics with people's lives. And right now, I don't think the youth need anybody playing any more politics with their lives. They need somebody who's going to show that they love them and also give them hope at the time frame where they feel like the world has turned their back on them.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that. So more than a third of people, if you notice on the national election, it kind of sat it out. I think people are starting to feel a little disenfranchised about our political system. So,
Yes, that's because people are talking around the issues. Everybody knows they're struggling to get by day to day, so they want to hear somebody who's discussing that. And they know that they don't feel as safe as they used to. Nobody feels as safe as they used to going to the grocery store or going anywhere because they feel like what the world has showed them is that they are under attack. And what I'm trying to do is show a new vision that we don't have to feel like we are under attack. We can still have the same relationships that we had before the pandemic. They just need leadership that's going to embrace that. If we can't embrace that, all we're going to do is have more chaos, and chaos always has pattern. When leaders are weak, you see a society that comes with exactly the problems that we are dealing with right now.
yeah. So I couldn't help but to notice, that you were equal opportunity attacker or heckler. You were going after the existing administration in Virginia, and then you do a little fire and shade at their competition as well. So your thoughts on what's actually taking place in Virginia? You feel like what could be done better?
Well, truth is not an attack. Criticism never used to be an attack for real leaders because they used to embrace different ideas and different solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Now they censor anything that they don't like. That's not a leader at that time period. When I sit in the room, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I just want people to come up with answers and talk civilly. I can't have somebody come in the room cussing me out and yelling at me all day and expect the answer to come from that. A real leader knows to shut that down and say it's time to get serious. It's time for us to act like adults. It seems like we have lost sight from these leaders of today about how we actually negotiate and get things done. Everybody's more worried about what somebody's doing nationally, what Biden is doing, what Trump is doing. I'm worried more about what Youngkin is doing, what Sears is doing, and what Rutledge is doing for people of today. People are too busy trying to be copycats, and that's what people are tired of. They need originality and authenticity and moving forward.
Okay. So do you feel like political leaders and politics and ideologies, do you see that they repeat themselves I I can turn to different periods in history, the 1830s, the 1850s, and you pretty much see the players are different, but you pretty much see the same tactics and the disenfranchise of the population. But do you see that? I see it all the time when I look at it, because I one of the things we both went to state. You were a political science major, and I was history, so I tend to look at those things.
Well, riots is the voice of the unheard. So what we are facing right now is the riot. Whether somebody is assaulting somebody or not. Yes, all of these political players feel like they got to answer to somebody instead of speak for themselves. That's why people find them as strangers, not as allies or neighbors or friends. That's what it used to be.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that helped shape you in your direction. One of the things you brought up was that you were a recipient of the NAACP college scholarship. Talk about that. I mean, that's something that's based on merit. And so how did that come about for you?
My mother was always an active member of the NAACP.
Okay.
Do I agree with everything any group does? No. But I hope that that group can understand and at least consider my viewpoints, or any other group consider my viewpoints. I was very thankful and appreciative and blessed to have that scholarship to make it into Norfolk State, because it did help me. But also at the same time frame, I earned it. I didn't say, oh, some kind of policy did it for me. I did it, and I wanted to make sure others know that they can achieve it too, and they don't have to feel like the color of their skin is going to be used against them compared to the content of their character, which makes them complete.
Gotcha. So I want to talk about something you just said. You just said the color of their skin is used against them. Can you elaborate? What do you think? Where are you seeing that, and how are you seeing it play out in our?
I'm seeing it basically coming at the disadvantage of youth, because they feel like when politicians talk about black people or other subsets or minorities, they always say disproportionate, or they say that this hurts this community. There's a difference between getting political points and the facts. We have had success in our culture through the hardest of times. We didn't cry about it. We didn't make excuses. We didn't blame others, because how we grew up was responsibility and accountability. When we have more of that, we're going to have a better society that focus on merit, not focus on other reasons that excludes or takes away from what we achieve as a society or as an individual.
So, do you think that the playing field has always been level or even?
No.
Okay. So what would be a solution or an approach for coming out of a situation where it's not level? Well, give me an idea. What I know it's not fair. Life isn't fair. But how do you make the adjustments to come from some place where there's not a level playing field to reach a level where you can accomplish things? What's your thoughts on that?
Sometimes you got to break the rules and make a name for yourself. Nobody remembers somebody who doesn't make their name or what they do echo.
Yeah.
And that changes the level of the playing field. When people know that it's okay to compete, it's okay to challenge yourself, it's okay to put up roadblocks and obstacles as long as you know that your goal is to focus on overcoming and perseverance. If we taught our kids to give up the second that they feel like something doesn't go their way, and that's the problem with society right now, it's too convenient. How we used to grow up back in the day, a lot of that is the reason why we are a success today, or why we are able to challenge the status quo or have a platform or a policy to go up against that. Right now, there's no such thing as a level playing field because we don't know the cards that we are going to get. What we do know, what do you do with those cards when you have them? You got to play them out just like anybody else. And at the same time frame, it's about keeping positive people that's going to make sure that you stay on track and you continue to be a success. And that's what we used to have. We used to have elders that always kept, even in our trouble youth or those making mistakes, we always had that backbone that kept saying, you could continue to make it. Don't let that stop you. Don't let this go ahead and get you worried or bothered. That's why religion took so much of a place in so many people's lives, because they had that extra guidance.
Gotcha. One of the things that you worked with the police department to help promote positive role models for the community. That is true, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't always get along with the police department.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, so here, this is what I've run into, and I'm a little bit different. So I always knew what I wanted to do. And what I always wanted to do was I wanted to always be a business person. All right. But here was my challenges. Outside of, just seeing my uncles who was a butcher, or my uncle that was a barber, or my uncle that was a pastor of a church, I really never saw or was exposed to people that were executive level, corporate level, executive level business people, because they weren't being taught. This wasn't being taught. I didn't figure out until later that there were people that were black that were very successful business people. Wasn't taught any of those things. So my experience was on a local level, or what I saw in the national media. And what the national media exposed me to were people that were in the news on a regular basis, right? Which those people, I tried to learn about, research, and emulate, because I wanted to get myself to a different level. But as I got older and I learned, those people didn't have a whole lot in common with me. So I'm saying all of this to say, I think perhaps maybe some of the issues that I've been recently experiencing with men in the community, young black men in the community, is what they're exposed to, what they want to accomplish. There's not a clearly defined guideline. Now, they're constantly searching for it. But what they come up with is what's in the media, which they try to make it fit for them. But from a social standpoint, from a political standpoint, and from an ideology and cultural standpoint, it doesn't fit. And that's where I feel like our issues come from, with elevating young black men to a different level. So I would like to. I would just. I'm just saying this, but I know where you were going. That we have to get to that level. I think it's upon us to be able to do that. But one of the things you're correct on is where we are in society with politics. It's money, power, proximity to money and power. I think those things kind of dominate the political scene right now. Yeah. But I said all of that. I didn't mean to take over your interview here, but I said all of that because those are the issues that I'm seeing with young black men in the community. And what they're seeing is, a lot of stuff is just dead ends. The violence, the gangs, the drugs. Go ahead. What are you about to say?
And that's why I'm trying to change things. I have a Family Business Act that directly goes into the community,
right,
that directly encourages entrepreneurship and says that we will level the playing field so you don't see gang members or drug dealers as the only thing our kids look up to.
That's ridiculous.
Most of these communities are worried about the financial cost of putting businesses in their community. If we cut out a lot of this red tape, even those who are salon owners or cut hair, they can do it from home without absorbing the cost on a lease. So lease this way that when they decide to go out on their own and get a business or office, they can budget better because they was able to budget from home on exactly how much it costs to go ahead and move forward.
What's this program called? It's
called the Family Business Act. I created it directly
out of your mind? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, it's out of my platform, and it's for all communities. What we're basically saying, we want the talents and the gifts, the positive ones, to be radiated throughout the community. Imagine if there was a gang member or drug dealer who says, now I got to protect these businesses, not like the mob, but basically saying, this is, of course, the income that comes into my area. This is, of course, keeping you safe. And I don't have to look at drugs or the gang activity as my number one thing. It's like the media. If the media shows black people or any race in a bad light all the time, it's going to, of course, make others feel like this is the way for us to survive. I don't want our youth to feel like this is the only way to survive because I love them too much. And the other thing I would like to do to add on is generational wealth. We have so many bright kids who are scholars who are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions and feel like they have to put it into the college complex compared to putting it into their own business or making the choices for themselves.
Gotcha.
We are seeing student athletes that come in and still perpetuating the same thing. Unless you're a football star or a basketball star, this is the only way to be successful. We have so many scholars that are out there that can't use this money and they go to college and they're struggling. And during that time frame, that is as frustrating as it comes for somebody to say, oh, you made straight A's, but this athlete got millions of dollars, but you, on the other hand, got millions of dollars of scholarships, but we are forcing you to go to school. Instead, you may just be better at being an entrepreneur or being a business leader, and you have the capital. We just got to stop forcing people and telling people this is what you have to do with your money. If you are able to make straight A's, I'm pretty sure you are able to run your own business, and then that takes family on family out the community.
Big time drug dealer, you could be a CEO, right?
Yes, and definitely now. I call that the pharmacist and big pharma right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I mean, cut you off. Keep going.
Yes, because right now we paying all this money for insulin. We paying all this money for certain things, and we're not giving our leaders and our talent the chance to compete in the market. I'm all about a free market enterprise, but I'm also about the fact that we do need more new money into the economy. And I believe this way will also encourage our youth to say, you know what, if I keep making straight A's, I can be a millionaire on my date of graduation.
Right.
That's what the gang members and drug dealers going to be doing. They're going to be protecting those smart kids like, oh, don't touch him.
Right.
You know, this person is about to be a millionaire. This person's about to come up. And we know the reason why people get into drugs and gangs because they got the illusion that this is a way to make a lot of money or this is a fast way out. The thing is, we have to be patient and humble and make sure that we are promoting things that's going to have the longevity of our community and our family bonds. And that's exactly how we keep motivating society not to hurt each other, but to say, let's keep uplifting each other and let's move to the top of this mountain
Right.
that we've been looking to be on from the start. And we need to show them that there is a way to that mountaintop.
Gotcha. While we're on business, one of the things that you were running doing was on your platform. I need you to explain this to me. It was expansion of the Virginia ports.
Yes.
So talk about that and how that would work and how that would bring revenue in.
That's going to bring thousands, if not millions, of jobs. What I have learned when
Even
you
now?
cut, yes, absolutely. When we expand the ports, we're going to end up becoming the
How do we
direct.
expand the ports?
That's through an executive order, and also at the same time frames, that's the part of being a good leader. You got to be a good negotiator and make sure people know what the vision is, just like any kind of business plan. You don't give out a loan to somebody who doesn't
Right.
have a business plan.
Right.
And me, on the other hand, my business plan has been on the Department of Defense website and more, and has been vetted. Nobody can dispute what I'm saying is not going to work.
Right.
The thing is, people are not motivated to do anything because they are playing politics compared to real leaders showing that this vision can help all of Virginia. If we become the direct source and we get all goods and services through our ports, that's going to bring down costs here in Virginia because we are direct. When we keep having these middlemen where they go out to California or Baltimore, Maryland, wherever, we are taking in those costs, whether the truckers have to bring that stuff into Virginia or not. We have every kind of ability to add jobs to the ports, and also for the longshoremen and the rest. They will love this type of situation because it keeps us working. We don't have to worry about this automated system because guess what? We're going to need more human labor. And that's what they're trying to do, replace us instead of making sure that we have long-term security and future. And I don't believe in us being part of the depopulation and replacement plan. I believe that we are the first and the priority because we have to look out for ourselves. If we don't, we're going to have everything looking around us. And that's what these politicians do during this time period. They look around us. They don't talk to us. And that's the problem. This will force the issue when people see their prices going down because they're like, oh, we getting eggs or we getting our food or our resources right here. Mm-hmm. That brings down costs for the truckers because they don't have to travel that far. And we can bring those costs and bring down costs in other states as well. The thing is, we need people who's going to be more committed to action than just talking about it.
Okay. So some of the things you were just talking about, I believe they go hand in hand. You were talking about corporations using artificial intelligence or robots or whatever to cut their labor costs so that they can earn more. Well, I think that's part of what's wrong with our political system. So these companies, they fund a lot of the politicians to vote a particular way. I think that may be in itself one of the largest issues that are faced that cause people to lack with jobs, employment, and representation. Like you said, looking past you. So I think that's a very good idea. I don't know. I can't imagine how it works. I don't know how all of it, the ideology of who you would have bringing stuff in, but I would be suspicious if you have companies funding politicians in their campaign. So that's
That's a common problem because now when you watch the news, they don't talk about this person's policy or this platform that's going to help people. They just talk about, oh, this person raised 10 million, this person raised 3 million. What does that have to do with me or you? We are looking at how can we keep more money in our pocket because we know we have to provide for our families.
Okay.
And the problem is they feel like most of the time these big time politicians that has all of this money is exactly the example of what success and leadership is. Right now my check don't look good just like the next person. My job isn't secure just like the next person. That's because their priorities is on these businesses, and these businesses are looking at their same long-term future. They're saying basically, what can I do to stay open? And right now, if we look around all of Virginia, we see businesses closing left and right. And it's always the mom and pop shops. It's always the kind of businesses that we normally look for success. We just can't survive in this type of market. What's unsustainable is unsustainable, no matter who makes the vision to look like this is going to be a great picture or our 40 acres or whatever you call it in the picket fence. We won't have that because nobody's going to be able to afford it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is definitely true. No doubt about it. You worked with, sorry, my voice. You work with low-income communities. I think we touched on most of it, but what issues did you see taking place in those communities?
I see the anger. I see the ordinary worker who used to believe in retirement and they don't see it anymore. They see that I'm going to be working until I'm 80 or 90, full of debt and full of what you call the worst of the worst. Right now, I'm trying to say this is our way out. I can't talk to politicians that no longer speak to me or no longer wants me in the room unless I pay $1,000 for a plate. As far as I'm concerned, I need food on my plate, just like every other family out there. And that's why I'm more focused on that. That's why I even have a policy of bringing down energy prices and gas prices and making us energy independent and giving out gas dividends, which is royalties, for us being able to use our own resources and minerals in order for us to definitely have wealth. And not only that, but you want something that's going to continue to be there. When something gets cut off or your job gets cut off, that's a source of income getting cut off. We make things too complicated. It's really simple as looking at one, if you paying too much in taxes and these politicians are getting paid millions by these companies and you seeing your check getting lower and lower and lower, we have to start looking at the reality. Me, I want no more state or local taxes. That's why my revenue plan or this $1 trillion economy that people talk about or this 26-cent gas. The reason is it's like being surrounded by water, but the politicians and their businesses says you can't drink none until we give you permission. That's what bothers them about me. I'm saying, hey, we're going to go after this water and we're going to put it to use for our community and for our great Commonwealth of Virginia. As far as it's concerned, we shouldn't have to go overseas for every single thing, and we're taking on all of those costs when we got direct source here in Virginia. People don't realize we had the lowest oil output in the last 4 years ever imaginable. Why are we complaining about high gas prices if we are not even using the gas that we already have? That's the same as somebody keeping the lights on and complaining about the fact that their electricity bill is too high.
Gotcha. I see your point. So, obviously, the Republican gubernatorial candidate and the Democratic gubernatorial candidate, they have been selected for each one of their parties. But what do you do? What do you do? Where do you going to go? Where do you go from here?
You take them both on. That's the difference between me dealing with Democrat and the Republican. I don't believe in either one of them. And when my bills or my taxes is still increasing, I don't care too much else about you. That's most ordinary Americans right now. They are like, give us a direct answer on how you're going to make our lives better. I could tell people, hey, look at your paycheck. If I take out your state taxes and your local taxes, how much more money do you end up having? Hundreds and hundreds of more dollars. I'm not here to pay $11,000 plus per year just because I want to see some celebrity be governor instead of be a leader.
Wow.
And at this time frame, I'm not waiting for Trump to be governor of Virginia. That's Youngkin and Winston Sears and Spanberger. They want somebody who's going to lead and know and recognize who are they leading. I'm here to lead Virginians out of inflation. I'm here to make sure we don't have to deal with the taxes that we used to have to deal with and those increases. If all that your local and state government can do is increase taxes and say, hey, we got a $3 or $4 billion surplus, that means you've been taxing people way too much. And it says that you really haven't been doing your job. It seems like the priorities of these leaders is to tax citizens first instead of find money elsewhere from other sources. And that's my focus. That's why I said we got oil and gas here in the Blue Ridge Mountains. We have Appalachian Basin, and we have the continental shelf. We have so many different sources of revenue that doesn't have to come off the taxpayers' back. And that's what I'm doing. That's what bothers them, because they're saying, hey, all we know is to increase taxes. All I know is to basically find ways to make sure no more taxes continue to hurt Virginians that are continuing to struggle. And they're going to struggle into the grave unless they wake up from the reality of, is this person going to help me, or is this person for the last 4 years has shown no result?
Gotcha. Those are big political machines you're trying to take on.
Yes.
So it's very easy to quiet somebody like you.
But that's the problem. If they was able to quiet me like the way that they want to, why are they still sending their people after me? That's because their consultants and their firms are saying he's a problem. And I hope they find me as a problem, because I don't have to go back and forth and do this negative campaigning. All I got to do is speak the truth and continue to present a plan that people feel. I'm not here to be the rabbit and the tortoise. I'm here to actually be the most patient and humble that recognize solutions is above people who are only about money. If the only thing you can tell me you raised $10 million, that means you made your life better at my expense. So show me how you can make my life better without you having to say you raised $10 million. And notice they keep saying you or me. They are worshiping themselves more than spending time protecting and serving the people. And in the long history of this country, people who have fell in love with money have fell in love with also having a huge downfall. The reason is, what happens when money runs out of any king or anybody who always pays for the party? The people leave after the money runs out.
Yeah, that in fact is true. So I've been holding it together here. So what I want to say is, while we're ending, if you got an opportunity to take a look at any of Merle's stuff, I appreciate him coming in, because in some cases Merle can be bombastic and a lightning rod for when he's campaigning and talking about things. So I just want to give you the opportunity for people to understand, talk to you, and see who you are and what your stances are on things. And I appreciate you coming in.
Yes.
And talking with us. And What's next? Talk about what's next. What are you going?
What's next is we are doing a write-in campaign,
Okay.
so people have the opportunity not to deal with legacy politicians that are endorsed by a party and never received one vote by one person. At this point, we have to decide what our future is going to be. Do we want really to continue to struggle and deal with the last 4 years as it's been presented? No need to worry about distractions or what the media tells you. Your paycheck and your life and your struggles is the reality. So at this time period, you want to look at your paycheck and look at other options as far as in leadership. You need to start paying attention and put more focus into yourself and saying, how am I going to do better? If you don't start doing that, after a while, you are paying for a party that nobody's going to continue to be at when your money runs out. And right now, you have a candidate that is here not trying to increase your taxes or put more struggle on your back and just walk around acting like it doesn't bother them. Those millionaires and those billionaires don't share your problems. The thing is, most Americans that's around you share your problems and going through the same thing. So spend more time talking to each other and working things out instead of worrying about somebody being Democrat or Republican. Because right now, both sides is getting screwed. And my job is to make sure you continue to get the truth. And I'm not worried about being attacked. I've been attacked before. My thing is, I'm worried about you, and I got to continue to worry about you. And like I said, I'm the leader that loves people over money.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's a wrap. So thanks for coming in, Merle, and talking with us, and we'll catch you next time on Listen Up. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's Listen Up with your host, Al Neely, for full episodes, real conversation, and lots of insight. While you're at it, stay connected with me on Instagram at Listen Up For You and on Facebook at Let's Talk About It. Listen Up. Also on TikTok at listenuppodcast.alneely for real topics with real people, real life. I would love for you to be part of the conversation. So follow and subscribe, but mostly listen up.